So, very good evening to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Prasanjit. Thank you, Kanupriya. Thank you, Prasanjit. And thank you, Harman, for inviting me and making me think about such an important issue, which has been there always in the back of our minds. It has been part of our subconscious. For which Indian is there who can wish away the happenings of Ramayana? I don't think there is an Indian who can say that he does not know or she does not know Lanka, Sri Lanka. So I have, my fellow speakers before me, the Honorable Member Parliament and His Excellency, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, have pointed out, they have flagged some very important issues. I have titled my small talk, Building Bridges in a Post-COVID World Order, the Way Forward for Sri Lanka and India. What are going to be the characteristics of a new world order that we see emerging in the times to come? First of all, just a small line on what is the world order. The world order talks about who is the boss, which is the country that is going to decide what most of the countries are going to do. And in the post-COVID situation, we see the world order changing. And why do we see it changing? First of all, we see a breakdown of Chimerica, the combination of China and America, which is very obvious to all of us. The second thing we see in the changing world order is the weakening of US as a world leader. And this COVID situation has brought it home to most of us that we can no longer look towards the United States of America to lead the world as it was, as per the prophecy of Fukuyama when he talked about the end of history. Another thing that's going to happen in the post-COVID world is, at least for some time, the hardening of intra as well as international borders. And there is going to be a collapse of globalization, which is something that with great foresight our respectable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has also pointed out when he is pushing us towards, when he is encouraging us towards Atmanirbharta. So what does it mean for all of us? It means that we have to look for more regional cooperation. We have to look more towards our immediate neighbors. My dear friends, as a student of geography, as a teacher of geography, I would like to bring home one point, and that is that we are all essentially prisoners of geography. Something that we cannot change, and that is what the speaker right before me also brought home, is our neighbors, our geographical neighbors. Something we cannot change is the geographical and geopolitical reality that we live in. In the case of India and Sri Lanka, that is the shared Indian Ocean Rim. The three countries that share the Indian Ocean Rim, along with India and Sri Lanka, the third one is Maldives. So it becomes important, and now with the Indo-Pacific strategy that is going on with all countries in the Indo-Pacific region looking towards the Indian Ocean, this becomes even more important that we have to take a position of preeminence. Both India and Sri Lanka have to take a position of preeminence over there. Another thing that's going to is likely to happen in the post-COVID world order is the rise of a more aggressive China. We can all see that most countries in the world, in fact, all countries in the world have seen an economic slowdown, an economic downturn, except for China, and China is on the rise all over again. China in the past many years has been known to become more and more aggressive. Its diplomats are often known as wolf warriors, a term which is taken from a very popular Chinese movie. I think most of the youngsters may have seen it. Now, with this kind of a world order, what can India and Sri Lanka do together? We have to look towards our commonalities. Some of them have already been pointed out. Some of them are very obvious, our geographical and geopolitical realities. One thing that has not been pointed out so far is the commonality of language that exists. I don't know how many of you know, but both Sinhalese and India and Hindustani belong to the Indo-Aryan group of languages. Despite a physical distance, the language that was adopted by Sri Lanka belonged to the Indo-Aryan group and not the Dravidian group. So this is a thing that we have to, think about, and we have to ponder that what is it that, the contact of India and Sri Lanka, how far back it went. And language, you see, is a very, very important component, a very, very important element of our culture. And this is something that we cannot wish away, even if we wish to, even if we want to. Buddhism traveled from India to Sri Lanka, we all know that. Something that I would like to bring home right now is that the diplomat who took Buddhism to Sri Lanka was also called Mahinda. He was the son of King Ashok, and the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka today is also Mahinda. This is how deeply Buddhism, this is how deeply Indianism is entrenched in Sri Lanka, and this is how close we feel to Sri Lanka, or Ceylon, as Kakkarji was referring to it. I may also add that I have been a very, very avid listener of Radio Ceylon as well. Cricket was another thing that was raised, and I was a great fan of Chaminda Was. I don't know how many of you know, but Chaminda Was trained in the Pace Academy in India. He was a fast bowler. He has set some amazing records in cricket. Both India and Sri Lanka are multi-ethnic countries, and both India and Sri Lanka are having to deal with regional aspirations. And we have to come to terms with these facts. Mr. Anil Wickremesinghe is a person who I see as a man of peace in Sri Lanka, and it is very interesting that when he was Prime Minister, the Prime Minister that we had in India was Atalji, Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, whose first death anniversary falls today, incidentally, was also a great man of peace. He was a man of poetry as well. So it is very, very interesting that both of them were there together, and today we should be talking about both of them together. So peace is very important for both of us. Both of our countries have also been victims of terrorism, and both of us need to combat terrorism. Terrorism, which is, a challenge which is facing almost the entire world, but it is facing more some countries than others. Both Sri Lanka and India have faced terrorism, have lost due to terrorism. So where are our opportunities for collaboration? Most of my previous speakers have flagged most of these as well. So I will also just very briefly talk about it and give some more time to the speakers that follow. There is economic collaboration, of course. India is a huge market for Sri Lanka. But more than that, as an educator, I think the field of education offers immense possibilities. It offers immense opportunities. And I remember in the early 1990s, when I was a student in Punjab University, we had a number of students from Sri Lanka. It is sad that this has stopped. I mean, the number of students coming from Sri Lanka has petered out. Maybe they are going to other universities. Maybe Punjab University is not fortunate. But I do remember that we had some very good ties with them. They were very, we had some very fond memories with them. And I also share fond memories with some of them who were my hostel mates, in fact. So the recipes we exchanged, the geographical backgrounds and the barriers that we overcame at that point of time, I still hold those very, very dear to me. Now, the situation being what it is in Sri Lanka, I think India should and has a major role to play in bringing peace and prosperity to Sri Lanka. And that is one of the things that should be one of the goals of India as, let's say, I won't say a big brother, but definitely an elder in the relationship. Another thing that I would like to mention is that it is today time to move forward. And in which direction are we going to move forward, and what are our strengths? Of course, the previous speakers have talked about South Asia as a region and other countries in South Asia. They have talked about East Asia. The realities of East Asia and Southeast Asia are something also we have to take into account. There are some countries here which are home grounds for terrorism. We have to look into that. The thing that brings Sri Lanka and India together, most of all, is, of course, their democratic cultures. And this democracy does not just, exist within the country. For India, at least, it just does not exist within the country. For India, democracy, poets, it says, "Hum ke tehre ajnabi, itni madaraton ke baad." We who are still not known to each other, we who are still strangers to each other, despite all the hospitalities that we show to each other. फिर बनेंगे आशना कितनी मुलाकातों के बाद. Let us now become friends once again. Let us now meet each other more often. Let us now have more people-to-people contact. And I think the relevance of Binding Bharat is this, that it is bringing the people of Sri Lanka closer to the people of India. So, my dear friends from Sri Lanka, it has been very nice to have you here, and I will sign off with this message of mine. Thank you so much.